Hello, good evening. My name is Mariya Dimitrova, and tonight we're going to talk about what is Kundalini and how to activate it. Most of you already know me as the intuitive coach that awakens the sexual, sensual, and creative nature for women. But tonight I'm going to talk to you about that part of me that channels the source energy and activates people's life force energy within them, so that they can really transform and experience the fullness, the depth, and the abundance of life that's really available for them. And as a start, that might sound a little bit woo-woo, but hang on a minute, because we're going to go deep dive into the essence of things. So tonight we're going to cover 3 subtopics, and they are: what is Kundalini? What is so interesting about it? Why Kundalini is predominantly asleep within the human being, within the human being's body, and how can we actually activate it and bring that energy back to life? We're going to start with what is Kundalini. Kundalini is the why people call the life force energy in the Eastern cultures. And the other terms that Kundalini is known as are divine energy, life force energy, Shakti or Shaktipat. There's so many different ways and names to actually talk about this energy. But the essence of this energy is that it is a life force. I'll most likely call it life force most of the time throughout our videos and going forward. I can see that we already have viewers that are live here tonight, so I just want to say thank you for joining, and say hi into the comments below so that I can see who you are. And also, please write any questions or any comments throughout the video. I absolutely love communicating with the people that I'm talking with. So I'd love to see your comments or any questions you might have. So what is Kundalini? Kundalini is the life force energy that we are born with. It is the profound amount of life force that we are born with, that has all the potential, that carries the potential of the energy that we carry throughout our whole life. Which means that, hello from Manila, hello Manila, which means that this life force energy is the most potent energy that we have and we will ever have within our bodies, because this is the energy that keeps us alive. And as long as we are alive, that energy is not zero, and it's already active in one way or form within our bodies. What is actually Kundalini, and how does it work within our bodies? So Kundalini is, you can imagine it as a river. Imagine it as a river running from the bottom of the spine up through the channel and vice versa, up and down. Imagine this is a river that connects us to the flow of life that is most true and natural for us, that connects us to the universal rhythms of change, that connects us through this constant flux of energy and the changes that are happening within the universe, within our bodies, within our minds, because we're all connected with everything and everyone around us. And as long as we're connected, and very well connected to that channel of energy and into that flow of life, we are able to really recognize the changes that are happening within our minds, within our emotions, within our bodies, and really go through the stages of life in a natural and authentic way. We are able to be open, we are able to recognize the changes that are happening within us, and we're able to act upon them. When we are connected powerfully to that flow, and we are within that flow of life, we experience feelings of freedom and inner peace. And even though we may not be emotionally stale, that there's a lot of emotions happening when we are within that flow of life, within that change, because change is never emotionless. We always experience powerful emotions, but there is a sense of freedom and a sense of and a sense of and a sense of peace within those emotions, we are highly able to process them and know where they're coming from and why they're there. Hello, Stanislava. Very happy to see you here. Okay, so now we know what this life force energy is. It is the energy that really takes us in the most amazing realms and the most amazing reality that we can ever live in. This is the energy that charges us with enormous amount of energy, so that we are able, with the source energy, which is infinite, and we can channel on it in any moment, in any time, to deal with any life situation that's in front of us. The easiest way to actually explain how that energy feels like when it's in our body, when it's present in our body, is if you look at children, because they're closer to the moment of being born, and they're the most open, the most open minds, highly unaffected by life quite yet, in the surroundings. They're very open to life. They're very open to life, open to all these different and new things that exist in the world. They're open to people, open to opportunities, open to experiences. And what happens with them? With them, what happens is that they don't have a filter. They are a yes man or a yes woman, and they really go with the flow, with that inner instinct. And we all say that as if children are protected, because children never really understand how they can flow so easily, how they can be so present, how they can recognize those inner instincts so easily, and to flow so well with life, right? So that's how that's the closest I can really explain it. When we are in this life, in the flow, and within that channel of life force energy, we are able to experience that level of freedom, that level of peace, that level of inspiration for life, and we are really able to make the most of our situations, to learn the most, and to really live life at its fullest. Grab every opportunity and really expand and grow and learn, without having the preconceptions that we have to stick with the ways that we've always used and what we've always done. What happens, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, in life, is that when a child meets their parents, meets their teachers at school, meets the community, and then has its own experiences in life, we start identifying with those experiences, and we start forming perceptions of who we are, what's our role in the world, what's our way of operating in the world, and we start making definitions about ourselves that we start identifying with. And when we identify with fixed beliefs and fixed concepts about who we are, what happens is that we slowly start losing that channel, and instead of being open to the life and the changes that are happening inside and outside of us, we start forming fixed concepts about ourselves, and we start filling ourselves with those concepts and start living according to those concepts, and even start believing them. I'll give you an example. When a child is young and has experience that is unpleasant or sometimes traumatic, for example, at school, they might feel misunderstood or betrayed by some peers, or at home they might have an environment where the child doesn't really feel appreciated, it doesn't really fit in. What happens is, because we try to orientate ourselves, we try to figure out what's our role in the world. When we are young, we form perception based on our experiences. That's what we do. So based on these situations, what do you think the child really makes up in their minds? That they don't fit in, that they're not understood, that usually people betray them, that people don't appreciate them and they don't love them. Just throwing out some examples out there. And what happens is, once these perceptions are formed, instead of being open to life and experiencing the beauty and the love and the connection with people and all these new experiences that can really open up to the child in front of him or her, what happens is, because a child identifies with those beliefs, it will recreate all those experiences over and over again, which means that the child is going to recreate different people, but following the same patterns and the same strategies to connect with people that wouldn't appreciate it, that wouldn't love it the way it wants and needs to be loved, the way it wants to feel appreciated. So it's very interesting how when we create all these perceptions, and identify with them, we start recreating them. We start recreating them in our lives. And what happens is that we stop being open to all the magic that really exists, which means that that child is not going to experience the same levels of magic in life as if when it didn't have those as if it didn't have those experiences. So what does it tell us? This example really shows us how the more we try to fix ourselves and really catch ourselves for those fixed concepts and beliefs about ourselves and about our life, the less open we are to the changes that are happening within our body. Imagine what is happening to, for example, a woman that is a grown-up woman, but she's not able to really, and susceptible to really detect the changes that are happening in her body. And instead of detecting that she's ready to be a woman or a mother, she still believes that she's a child, and she keeps going around trying to look for her daddy to protect her from life. You know? What happens to that scenario? The woman will keep recreating people in her life, particularly men in her life, that are going to protect her as a child from the outside world and maybe prevent her from growing up, from really developing as a woman. And she might even have children in family, but she will never feel the depths of the woman that she really is, and she will never experience the beauty of what it is to be connected to that feminine essence in all of its fullness and in all of its depth. For example, her sexuality, her creativity, or maybe her motherhood, and the way she relates to herself, to her body, and to her partner. So what I'm trying to explain with this example is that, yes, we are all connected to that source energy. Yes, we are all a channel for that life force energy. But in most of the people on planet Earth, we're not really thriving in life. We're just surviving on a basic level. And energy operates at a very low level in our minds and our bodies. And that has crucial impact on the way we feel and the way we experience life. And I'll give you, for examples. When this life force energy is at a low level, instead of a full-blown, fully flowing river within ourselves, what happens is we live outside of that flow of life. Imagine the flow of life as a river, but because our energy is just so little, we experience life completely differently. We are almost living on the outside of that river, trying to flow. When we can't flow outside of the river, we don't flow, we struggle, right? And what happens is, because the universe is always working in our favor, always trying to show us which way to go, cooperating with us, the way we experience life when this life force energy is very inactive or latent within our bodies is that we start facing a lot of challenges. We start feeling drained from our energy. We start feeling depleted. We lack motivation and inspiration in life. We start being lazy. We start losing interest in the hobbies and the things that we used to love to do. And a lot of us even start disconnecting with our bodies or with the people that we love, and start feeling separated. We may not even like the job that we potentially used to like before, and we start facing a lot of difficulties. Especially the sense of separation is one of the biggest ones. And we all know that this situation that we're in right now with the COVID and the pandemic is really only enhancing the situation, this negative spiral that we go about in, because we are social beings, and no matter how independent we try to be nowadays, it is absolutely proven, even by statistics, that the true happiness of people is directly proportional, not to success, but of the quality of the relationships that they really develop throughout their lives. And a proof of that is that back in the day, people used to live in communities and tribes. Even further back in the day, they used to live in tribes, and they felt part of a whole, part of a community, part of something that's greater than themselves. And everybody played a role. And that role is very key and very important for everybody in order to feel that they have purpose and that they feel connected and part of a whole. And when we disconnect from people, friends, family, lovers, we start feeling disconnected from ourselves. And during the pandemic that's happening right now, that's even more enhanced. More and more people are losing connection with the loved ones and the people that live. There are people that actually live alone. And that level of separation is just enhanced to enormous levels right now. And it's so easy to feel disconnected and to lose even further the little flow that we have in our lives, that life force energy that we had in our lives. What happens is we start feeling depressed, because when we start to fight, the first reaction of people is to fight their reality, try to fight their reality, try to change people around them, the circumstances around them. But when the direction's wrong, it just doesn't work. No matter how much you fight, eventually you're going to give up. Eventually you're going to really give up. And that's when apathy and depression comes in. And we all know that these are states that is very hard to get out of. We all have the power to get out of them, and there are ways. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to say, to just show how far we can really go, and where does this path lead when we don't really connect with the true source of essence of energy that's available and inherent for us. So what is the solution? How do we go back to feeling alive? How do we bring back that feeling of being inspired about life, that feeling of being the heroes of our life, that we want to take over, just take charge and really just grow and learn and expand in our lives? How do we do that? How do we reconnect with that inner particle within us that tells us that we can do it, that we're capable, and that life is good for us and life can be good, and to open up to life and to opportunities that exist beyond what we think is possible, all the things that are really available for us. So I'll show you how. It is really by activating that Kundalini energy within us, that life force energy within us. How we can do this? There are two ways. That we can really do this: willful practices and unwillful practices. The willful practices are practices that engage our willpower. That includes Kundalini yoga, breath work, various meditations, or even certain frequency activations. Certain music activates it. All of these practices are really good practices if we want to activate our Kundalini energy. But what I don't like about those practices is that it takes a lot of amount of energy and commitment to really do that. And we all know that back in the days, people used to meditate for ages and hours, and they had the time and the free time to really do that. And when people are committed, always find the time and all that. But we nowadays are really busy, and we've evolved, and the tools that we use are also evolving. So the willful practices are great, and I totally love them. I've done them myself. But I'll offer you, and I'll present you an idea that for me is more powerful and is more empowering for people, and is even more opening to people. And that is the unwillful practices, or the so-called path of surrender. The path of surrender. So we could either choose the willful practice, where we use our masculine energy or our will, which is the masculine principle of life, the masculine principle of creating, which has nothing to do with the genders male and female. Let's just be clear from now. I'm talking about the masculine principle of life, where we take action in a particular direction and go for what we choose. And the other path is the feminine principle in life, which is surrender, open up and surrender. Why do I believe that in this scenario, the feminine principle or the path of surrender is more powerful? The path of surrender is more powerful because it opens us up to realms that we didn't think exist. Imagine if you want to process a certain belief using your willpower, to go within yourself, to understand where it's coming from, to open yourself up to it, understand it, transcend it, and really go beyond it. It takes a certain amount of time, right? It takes a certain practice. But with that, there could be so many other beliefs and triggers that we don't currently see, because potentially we might have resistance, or we're not ready to see them, or we have resistance to see them, or unable to see them in this moment of time, that we can actually miss out on. And we're still going to carry them until we open ourselves to it. While with the path of surrender, you open up to that energy that exists, and because the energy has its own intelligence, it's an intelligent power, it's the life force energy, it is the inherent intelligence that exists within everything, that permeates everything. So it has an intelligence, it's an intelligence force, which means that it always gives us the experience that we need and that is true for us, not what we want and what we desire. It doesn't work this way. This path is the path of surrender. So we let go, completely surrender to the process, and we receive the experience that we need to receive. For this to work, you will need a facilitator that knows what they're doing and a real professional in that field to really help you with that process, to channel that energy for you so that you can surrender to that process. For me, that's the most powerful principle and tool that I've ever experienced, beyond any willful practice that I've ever tried and experienced. I've seen within the unwillful practices, within the path of surrender, I've seen Kundalini transmissions. I've seen people, professionals, do Kundalini transmissions, and they are powerful. They are very powerful, and they work. The only problem with these practices is that they're only one side of the coin, and I'll explain to you why. One side of the coin, and what I mean by this. The path of surrender needs to have the two balanced energies within, the rising or the ascending energy as well as the descending energy. They're equally important for this to work in the most balanced way. The ascending energy is the energy that connects us through the higher levels of consciousness, or the higher realms, which means that we separate from our bodies, disconnect from our emotions, and we really connect with the essence, with the really root core of what we are, which is consciousness. This method helps us be objective, helps us feel connected to everything in existence and everyone in existence, because consciousness permeates everything in existence. And it feels that we are connected to source, or to God energy, to source energy. This is why Kundalini is called divine energy, because it helps us really connect to that essence. But what happens is, if we only practice that practice with the ascending energy, where we really go high and connect with our high levels of consciousness, feeling the feeling of freedom and the enormous feeling of peace that we experience in this, can be really disbalancing and really affect negative our life if we only practice the ascending part, the ascending practice. Because if we stay up there and we never come back to life, it becomes really difficult to orientate ourselves in life. It starts being really difficult to make decisions, being difficult to connect with our bodies in the most pleasurable way possible, and have a healthy relationship with our bodies. It really prevents us from having healthy relationships with our emotions as well. We start really disassociating with our emotions and fighting with our emotions rather than feeling them and living with them. And it makes it really difficult to work and to really create things in life, to really dedicate our energy and really create things that are meaningful to us in life. And it becomes really difficult to live. It becomes really difficult to be a human being, and we feel really disconnected from everyone. And as much as we will feel connected to source and to God, and we will feel amazing and free and peaceful, we will really struggle to connect with people, to connect with ourselves, to our human side of ourselves, and connect with other people. And that is going to cause a lot of stress on our bodies, on our emotions, on our minds. And it will really prevent us from feeling really healthy and prevent our true well-being, our wholeness. And we all know that we all want to connect. We inherently would love to connect with the people that we love, and we'd love to have people that we love in our lives. And imagine not having that and feeling really disconnected and unable to really connect with other people. Because when you're up there when you're up there. I'm talking from, experience that I had, because back in the day when I started doing all these practices, I didn't know about the descending energy and how important it is. I didn't know about the grounding force of Kundalini that I'll talk to you about in a second. I didn't know that I had to balance all that. So I used to meditate for long times. I used to do a lot of energy readings, and I used to go really, really high up in this spiral of consciousness, and I connected to source, to my high levels of consciousness, in great levels, doing fastings of 20 days and all that. But I started feeling so disconnected to my body. I didn't really care what I looked like. I didn't like to put any effort into dressing up nicely the way I'd love to dress, or connecting with people. I wanted to be isolated, and I just wanted to be away. I just wanted to be alone. I found it very difficult to talk to people because all conversations seemed very petty and seemed very just immature or below my level in a way. And that is so deceiving, because yes, the energy is lower, but that is only because I connected to a level of energy that is just so disconnected and so far from everyone around us. And that doesn't mean that you have to lower your energy, but what it means is that you need the balancing energy of Kundalini to make yourself go back into life with that level of consciousness, but able to really ground yourself with the same power and the same depth as you went high up, so that you could create a balance for yourself and be able to operate with these new levels of consciousness and awareness in this life. How beautiful is that? So instead of feeling really light and very hard to live life, because when we are very light in energy, life becomes really difficult because it's dense. Life can be very dense. But when we activate Kundalini, with the help of Kundalini, we can go back into life with greater awareness, with greater sensitivity and greater consciousness, expanded consciousness, back into life with more power, more depth, more fullness. And we're able to experience all these connections and love in deeper and fuller way. What's more beautiful than this? To be able to connect with the loved ones in a deeper and more meaningful way. What's better than being able to be more sensitive to your intuition? What's better than being able to make better decisions in life, to choose better partners, to choose better opportunities, and to even attract better opportunities, simply because we're going to operate from a completely different frequency, open to the opportunities and possibilities in life, connected to that life force that constantly flows and creates changes within us, and makes us in sync with the changes with the universe, and therefore attracting the opportunities that are in resonance with the frequency that we are in and we are allowing to be in. What's more amazing than that? Being able to process all of your emotions in a lot healthier and a lot easier way. Beautiful, isn't it? So I highly recommend going down the route of the unwillful practice, or the so-called the path of surrender. And I believe that nowadays we all need a piece of that, because we all crave for more depth and more connections and more meaningful relationships with people, especially after this pandemic. And we need a dose of love and connection that will expand us and will help us connect with the people that we love in a more deep and more meaningful way. I'm going to take a little time now to familiarize you with the energy practice that I do. It's called CAP, or Kundalini activation process. It is that energy that you receive these two transmissions, the transmissions of the non-dual consciousness and the transmission of Kundalini all together, which means that you're not going to receive only one or the other. You're going to receive these two transmissions all together during the whole session. And those transmissions are 1 hour transmissions, and there's no talking. It's just transmission of energy and wisdom all the way throughout. And during those transmissions, the energy gives you the experience that you need to have, and changes you from within, so that you can create a long-lasting change and transformation within you, and therefore within your life. because our lives always reflect what's within. So the way I've made the program is that it's a 6-month program, 6-month subscription, and there are 2 energy transmissions during every month. We work in groups on Zoom calls, which means that it's going to be online and we're going to be in a group. So that it's available for you regardless of where you are on the planet. So there will be scheduled times every month where we get together on Zoom and do those transmissions. Obviously, we have a group. We also have a group where we support each other, and particularly I support you throughout that journey because what happens during this 6 months is that this program that is called Transform Your Life with CAP. The reason why I call it that way is because during those 6 months you receive 12 powerful transmissions overall to a month, and during that time the energy builds within your body. During the session you experience all the internal changes very intensely, and you're supported by me during the session, and obviously it feels magical. Everybody that I work with says and confirms that it feels absolutely divine. You can experience all sorts of different emotional releases to emotional breakthroughs, and all sorts of different levels of freedom, love, and connection, and divinity, and just really inherent joy of just being. And it's really going to bring you that motivation and charge to live life to the fullest. And during those 6 months, this is enough time to allow the energy to work on us, because the energy doesn't work during the sessions. You see, during the sessions we receive the transmissions, but the energy work on us all the way throughout and in between the sessions. So this is enough time to really rewire you, to really change and transform you, release everything that you need to release, and open you up to everything that you need to be opened up for that 6-month period, to really transform your life and go and operate from a completely different place, completely different frequency. And because the changes happen so quickly, the energy is really fine, you will see, but really powerful. And the more we surrender to it, the more it really works on us. The more we allow it to work on us, the deeper it goes and the deeper the change happens. And as the changes happen, we might have different types of mental, emotional, and energetic changes happening within us. And this is why we have that group to talk about it and to receive support from a facilitator, who is me in this case, to really guide you through that process, to intuitively guide you through that process and help you process everything that's happening for you, and really help you go through the changes in the most loving and caring way. The journey is really amazing. I've been on this journey myself for a few years now, and I can say that this is one of the most amazing experiences that I've ever had with CAP, and it's one of the most powerful but gently powerful transmissions that you will ever receive. So you will receive all of that. You will receive the support group, and you will receive these 2 transmissions, and you will receive all the support needed for you to go through this change in the most powerful and loving way. And after these 6 months, you will be a transformed person, operating from the deeper core of who you really are, and deeply rooted in the source energy that's available for you, open to the possibilities of life that exist. I'm not going to talk anymore about all these beautiful blessings that you could really receive from CAP, because I'd like to just share with you the link to the CAP group that I have. If you have resonated with everything that I said tonight, please click on the link that I've put on the comments and answer the 3 questions that I have there for you, and you'll be able to join that CAP group. The CAP group, in the CAP group, you'll receive more information about what CAP is, what happens during a session, how you can subscribe to my subscriptions. We're starting in October, which means that at the minute the programs are open for subscriptions, and we start the actual sessions in October, and they run for 6 months. And this practice is available for women and for men, which is very exciting time for me, because so far I've mainly worked with women, teaching them about intuition and really unleashing their sexual, sensual, and creative part. But now I've opened doors for the male part of our society, and I'm really excited to welcome male in our ladies and gentlemen together in a group, connecting very powerfully and connecting to that source energy in the most balanced and healthy way. So I'd love to just take a few moments to really invite you to come and join me in this group, because I'll be posting different information, not just about CAP, but just generally principles that will really guide you, inspire you along the journey. And I'd love to say that it will be an absolute honor for me to really guide you in that journey if you give me that opportunity. But actually, this is not giving me the opportunity. It's actually about giving yourself the opportunity to experience that life and that magic of life that's available, because life really changes. People usually separate their life before and after CAP for the people that have done it. And one last thing I'd say is that I've noticed that the energy really chooses who to work with. For example, I knew I had a calling to do that and to work with the life of energy long before I knew that this CAP process, the way it is in the form that I do it now, it existed. So 5 years ago, I had all these visions and experiences. As a result of my intuitive work, I knew exactly what I was going to do and what I wanted to do and what's my purpose and destiny to do, in a way. And I knew exactly what I'm going to be doing and how I'm going to be doing this, but I just didn't know how to get there. And when I found out about CAP, or Kundalini activation process, and the way it's structured by Venant Wong, who is the master that initiated me into the process the way it exists now. You've probably heard of him. He's from Hong Kong, or just Google it if you haven't heard of him. He's an incredible being, that has studied with the masters in the Eastern cultures. And when I received the transmission and the initiation from him, it was just really like coming home, because I've been journeying with this for years before we did that initiation, and I knew that energy a lot before and experienced it in my body long before, but just didn't know how to work with it and how to use it, and he opened my eyes for it, and now that's that's one of the things that I do and offer for people, the opportunity to really help you in the most amazing way possible, because it really feels truly divine and amazing to do CAP, to really help you and guide you in opening yourself up to the beauty and the magic that exists. So if all of that resonated, I just take a second to invite you and to listen to that instinct and intuition within you, because that's how our intuition communicates with us, through our inner instinct and just inner calling that we have. So if you feel that calling, I strongly invite you to follow that, to really follow that, and really not miss out on that opportunity, because life is magic if we're allowed to experience it. And I just don't want you to miss out on that opportunity. And just follow, be brave, and just follow. I'll be there for you. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you, everybody who was here tonight live, writing comments and asking questions. I will be following this space as well. I'll be looking after this space even after this live this live talk, which means that when you listen to this in the recording, if you write a question, I'll respond to you. You can still join the link is going to be there. You can still join the group. It's called CAP with Mariya Dimitrova. I'll be absolutely honored to have you there and to share more about CAP there, and this path of surrender, because it's really, really powerful. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for your time, and I will see you next week again, the same time, same place, on my page and here on the Coaching Real platform, to talk about how Kundalini can help us unleash our true potential and what happens during a CAP session, so that you're aware and know exactly what you're going to go through if you sign up for my subscriptions. So share away with your friends and family. It is this work is good for anybody, for absolutely everybody above 18 years of age, and people who don't have mental health conditions. because the energy is really powerful. And when you have a mental health condition, I do not want to be held responsible for anything that might happen. So I'd like to work with people that that have healthy mental health, and would like to work would work on a deeper level to really expand themselves and really start flowing with life in the most magical way possible. So have a good night, and I'll see you next week.